Hi, MBJB listeners. In honor of International Day of the Girl, which is on October 11th, No Boxes, Just Verses presents Verses in Service, a leadership miniseries. This is a special 7-part episode series that will run through October 23rd. And across this miniseries, you'll hear from many extraordinary women, from tech innovators, culture leaders and icons, educators, filmmakers, cybersecurity and AI experts, legal and governance leaders, and community builders. Their story is a masterclass in service-driven leadership, mentorship that multiplies opportunity, purpose that outlasts titles and boxes, and community that lifts the next generation. So we're marking this day, this moment, by amplifying the voices that open the doors for girls everywhere. I hope you enjoy this special. This is Verses in Service. Welcome to No Boxes, Just Verses, the podcast where we go beyond the titles, beyond the bios. We explore how these leaders really came up with their inspiring voices and really get behind the scenes on their journeys. Each week, we come up with a playlist of this leader's life. 5 lessons, 5 songs, 1 unforgettable playlist.
Let's put the pedal to the metal, let the top lean back. I don't know where we're going, I don't know what we're running to. I'm checking for you, how you feel about that. I think it's time we rendezvous.
And today, I am so honored to be able to welcome my guest to No Boxes, Just Verses, Elicia Pegues Spearman.
I'm so glad to be here.
Oh my gosh, this has been so much in the making. I mean, before I get into your bio, I want to share with our listeners, we've known each other for a long time. Besides us both being members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I have a personal connection with you through my family. My uncle and my aunt are dear friends of yours.
Dear friends of mine. Yeah, good friends, lawyer friends, both in Connecticut. And it's just been a long time family friends.
And interestingly enough, I just recently learned that, because I really didn't know how you knew my uncle and aunt, but I recently learned that it actually goes way back in your legal career that you met my uncle and his friends, right?
Yeah, Kelvin. I was an associate, a young associate at a Detroit firm. And he was a, higher associate. I met him, and that's your uncle's best friend, one of the best friends. So
yeah, all those guys are from Saginaw, Michigan. So shout out to Saginaw. And they kind of all went through the ranks together in terms of college. And I was always a little bratty follow-along kid with them, who eventually also went to law school. But yeah, that whole crew of folks that were same people.
Totally good people. If you're going to follow somebody, follow their footsteps, because they were successful lawyers and just really good people. So
yeah. So I always say good people just meet good people. I mean, obviously, we are sorority sisters, so I was destined to love her. But then that personal family connection just even deepened that relationship. So,
absolutely.
Well, let's get into it. I'm going to read your bio, and let me just tell you, this is just the highlights. So we're going to get into your story. But, I always like to ground us here on No Boxes, Just Verses. So Elicia has been a force in Fortune 500 companies, state and federal government agencies, and national nonprofit circles for over 25 years. She is a trailblazer from diverse experiences gained first when you were really the first person of color hired into the General Dynamics Electric Boat executive team as the chief human resources officer.
Absolutely.
Wow. And we'll get into
that. And they've been in existence for over 120-something years.
Yeah, we'll get into that and how that came about, because that's just completely trailblazing. You were the first general counsel of Quinnipiac University.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. First trailblazing. Yes. You were elected as the first woman from Connecticut to also hold the position of the North Atlantic Regional Director of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Absolutely.
I mean, literally, this is just the whole story of first, which is interesting because, sometimes we think in this day and age, how can we be the first?
Right. But it's so funny because my theme as Alpha Kappa Alpha's North Atlantic Regional Director is first.
Yeah.
And first stands for fellowship, innovation, respect, serve, and thrive. But I didn't try to be the first. I was just working hard and doing good work and getting recognized for my work. And then I learned that I made history. It's kind of sad. First person of color. not the first African-American, first person of color in the C-suite at General Dynamics Electric Boat.
Wow. Well, let's take a step back. Let's get into your origin story. Tell us where you're from and kind of your early years, your journey of, we'll get into your song, which I actually really love this song, Count on Me by Whitney and CeCe Winans. And I hadn't heard that song in a long time. So thank you for bringing that on the playlist because it's a beautiful song. But, you were one of those people who, you were a curious kid. Obviously, it says that you love to make space for others. So you already were thinking about like your servant leadership as like a young kid, wherever you grew up, and including other people. I want to know where that came from, because I know that then really, we'll talk about what you're doing now, translate into your day-to-day of what you're doing. But help us with your origins.
It's funny. Most people think I'm from Connecticut because I grew up in Connecticut.
Okay.
But my mother is from West Virginia, Charleston, West Virginia, the city, the capital.
Oh, yeah.
My father went to the Marines after high school and then went to college where he met my mom in West Virginia.
Okay.
And we lived there probably till I was about 4 years old. And then they moved back to Connecticut. But I've just been raised by my great-grandmother, my great-uncles, and my great-aunts, just as kind people. We just help people. And so, when I was early, like in elementary school, I just felt bad for the kids who were picked last. They sat there wondering if somebody's going to pick them for their team. And it sounds so funny, but as a young kid, I really remember, like, let me pick this person first. We all know this is not the best dodgeball or kickball player. And you could see the smile on their face and make them feel good. And so that just made me happy that this poor person wasn't feeling bad. And so sometimes I root for the underdog, And just being kind. People forget about being kind and how far that can go in life.
And my understanding, so West Virginia also, is interesting that I would not have thought that was where your upbringing would be. But at the same time, I bet it was very rooted in family and service. And so growing up also around all those people you just mentioned really probably left a big impression on you as a young person.
A big impression. My grandmother didn't work. My great-grandmother didn't work. My great-grandfather worked. And we were the dewdrop in-house.
Oh.
So anybody who just needed kind of food and laughter would just drop into my great-grandmother's house. I don't know how she fed people, but they were just welcoming to people who may not have had enough or also just wanted a family feeling. My family was singers and dancers and had the piano playing. And so you come into the Anderson household, you felt good, and that's just my mother's side of the family. But my father's side of the family is from the South, Georgia and South Carolina. So I don't know, just family times, just like those old school values of going to church and spending time together with family and playing games and playing outside. I just learned a lot by being around my family.
And I can just tell that bond that you have with your family. There is the cutest video. I personally saw it on, I think, Instagram. It could be on TikTok. I'm not sure. But it's of you and your mother, who is also a soror. It's so cute. And it's the cutest video with you guys dancing. You guys, again, we'll give them your IG handle at the end.
Okay.
But I hope people see that video. It was so cute.
It was on TikTok. It was on Instagram, everywhere. But it was D-Nice DJing. Yeah. And me and my mother were on stage at my regional conference. And my mom and I just have a lot of fun together. She can outdance me, stay up later than I can. And we were just doing a little stroll together. And we were just in sync. We have a little thing that we do, and people really love it. Like, everywhere I go, they ask about my mom, who likes to put pink and green clips in her hair at AK conferences. So she's very conversationalist, But you got to enjoy life while you have life in you.
She seems like I can't wait to meet her one day. She seems like such a fun person. But you could also you could really see that these are things that were instilled when we were on a young age. Like it pours out.
It's natural. It's just who we are,
Yep. So, okay, so we've gotten you from, West Virginia.
Yeah.
Then you go to Connecticut. You graduated from high school in Connecticut.
Yes, right? High school. Everything. Elementary, junior high, everything.
Okay, so now we go to college.
Yeah.
And I'm going to assume you grew up in a household probably similar to a lot of us in those decades. You were going to school of some sort, right?
Absolutely. It's like not even a conversation. You're just going to grow up and you're going to go to college. Yes.
Yep. So walk us through kind of how you chose that. And then obviously joining Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
I will share that with you. Okay. My parents went to the HBCU and so did my brother. And I thought maybe I was going to go to Howard, but quite honestly, my ex went to Howard and I didn't want to feel like I was copying him. And when I visited Wellesley College, all women's college in Massachusetts, I loved it. I thought the women were amazing women. The campus was beautiful. And so I went there and I was initiated as a freshman into the wonderful sorority, our sorority. Yep. And I learned a lot of leadership development, held a lot of roles in community service, and just really blossomed in that all-female environment. So I've always actually been in very positive female environments, not some of the stuff that we see with reality TV shows.
Yeah.
Very positive, just always uplifting and supporting. And but I did go to Howard on exchange because I had to have my HBCU experience. And boy, let me tell you what a difference it was going to the HBCU. And I still am friends with everybody that I went since those times in the 80s. People think I graduated from there because it was just so vibrant, and I had a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people were from exchange, people from Stanford and Duke.
Yeah.
A lot of us went to Howard on exchange. And that was another grounding experience to be around teachers who looked like you and who expected you to do excellent things in life.
Yeah, I can definitely tell you. I mean, growing up in the DC area where I grew up, and actually my father did not want, he went to Howard, did not want me to go because he was like, if you go to a school in your hometown where you already know everybody and you've been hanging out at Howard when you were in high school, you'll never graduate.
Right.
So he sent me as far as he could. Charlottesville, Virginia is no Howard.
You went to UVA?
I went to UVA. I remember people were talking about cow tipping when I went down there. I was like,
what is that?
What did my father just do to me? I was trying to sneak away to Howard every weekend that I could. But during those times, I will say UVA had a fairly large African-American population. So I definitely would say we although we were not at HBCU, we definitely had community. And that's really what it's about. Is like,
absolutely,
do you have a community that supports you, right? The next song that you pick, I love this song, Shining Star by Earth, Wind, and Fire. So this is like a phase of your life where you are definitely a curious person, but you're starting to figure out kind of where you're going to go with your career. And also, like, where are we going with our personal life at this stage, too?
I mean, that just reminds me of, like, you just have to shine and be you, be true to yourself. A lot of obstacles as you're early in your career. I came from little tiny Connecticut, went to big DC. And just met so many fabulous people and professionals. I was a young lawyer. I was in court. And I just felt like the world was yours. You just had to kind of try this, try that, what works, what doesn't, and pivot. And just be true to yourself and just learn a lot. Learn from your elders and learn from your bosses and your mentors. And even there's negative stuff, but you still just grow from it. You're not gonna be perfect in life, right? You gotta learn from the lessons.
Right. What made you want to go to law school?
This is funny. This is really funny. I really do have one cousin who's a lawyer. But in college, I just surrounded myself with my friends. They had family who were lawyers. And I had a job after college. I was going to go home to Connecticut. And my brother was like, you like school. I mean, so why don't you just stay in school? And I asked my friends, what are you doing? Like, we're going to get the LSAT prep packets. I'm like, what's that? Literally, I was like, LSAT prep packets? I'm like, okay, get me one too. And that's the power of being around people who are aspiring to do more. That's something you may not have thought about. And when I started to think about it, I love to debate. I love to, verbally debate, also doing written work that can debate or show your story. And that's my little naive of what I thought law school was about. But really, when you go to law school, you could be an executive director, you could be a congressperson, you learn the analytical techniques. So it was just a perfect move for me. And I went straight from college, straight to law school. It was perfect.
Yeah, I did straight as well. People were telling me to take a break. But for me, it was like, if I don't just get this school thing out of me, I might not ever go. I knew myself. I was like, I might not ever go back. And I'm already in the zone. So let's just keep it going while we can. But it's interesting because we'll get to it. Both of us had, I feel like, great training. Law school teaches you how to critically think, all those things. But we both wanted to do other things besides practicing.
Yeah, I think it just happens. It's kind of once you're good at something, you have to keep learning. The law, people think it's one thing. I was an employment and labor lawyer. Then you learn subspecialties. And so you just never know where your next opportunity is. And I'm pretty energetic, so I don't like to be bored. So I like to experience different things.
You're also a lifelong learner.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
That's and that's a quality that you've always had, probably. So
reading books, learning from others.
So this next phase of your life, you picked this song. Oh my God, it's such a pretty song. Hey, this person has such a pretty voice. Black Butterfly by Denise Williams. And you start climbing corporate ladder. You leave law firms, you start climbing ladders. So also I want to know, where are you personally in this life at this point?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a young lawyer, the world is kind of yours. You're involved with different bar associations on different committees. You're working hard. I only did a firm for 1 year. I really kind of like the in-house counsel route. So I was probably one of those unicorns because I worked for FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Wait, let's go back.
What?
Let's go back, because that's amazing. Because you go to law school, you're supposed to go to a law firm. You do that.
I will tell you why.
What would take you to the FBI, which sounds so fascinating and exciting? There's very few people, especially that look like you, that are doing that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I just didn't find when I worked at 2 law firms, I split my summer. I didn't think people were that happy. And I like to have joy in life. I'm going to work hard. I want to play hard. I want to be happy. So I actually did a clerkship first in Connecticut. Then I worked for a state commission on human rights and opportunities. So I did that kind of work. And then when I wanted to kind of go to DC to work, but also see if I could find me a husband, to see more professionals in DC. And I worked for the Metro Transit Authority, which was, we did trials every day, walking up and down the street to court. And that was a lot of personal injury trials or employment trials. And then one of my friends went to the FBI. I said, the FBI, she said, you should come over here. You can be in the employment department. I was like, girl, I'm not going to go work for the FBI. She's like, come be Deputy General Counsel Tom Kelly. I went to go meet the Deputy General Counsel. I just liked him. He was a big, boisterous Irish man.
Right.
I thought he was a good person.
Right.
And then there was so many people. If you can pass the background check to work for the FBI, they want you to bring their friends. So I probably have never worked with so many young professionals together. And some people wanted to be agents. I didn't want to be an agent and go fight crime that way. I just had to defend the bureau across the globe and whatever things they got sued for. And that was a great time of my life.
Which is so interesting because we'll get into this a little bit more. And we talk about this in a lot of the episodes. The people who wind up being the mentors and the supporters oftentimes are not the people that you would have just picked would be so instrumental in your career. Oftentimes they do not look like you.
Absolutely.
They didn't grow up like you.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, this guy wound up being somebody you just clicked with.
I clicked with. That's why you have to, that's why I always thank my friend, you have to not just be like, I'm fine here. Sometimes just go explore because you could be fine where you are. And that's been my whole career. I was always fine where I was. But then someone just came and said, just listen to me. Yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to the next place. And that next place was fine. So you can get very comfortable. Yeah. But sometimes you should just keep exploring options because you could always say no. Yeah. But I've had amazing experiences by just having telephone calls from recruiters or because of my reputation and brand, people calling me and say, hey, this came up for me, but I'm not the right person. How about you? I think you would be good in this job. Mm-hmm. And that's a beautiful thing to have friends that would advocate for you and say your names. And I think you're totally right that mentors may be a female, may be a male, may be in your race or not in your race. You never know who that sponsor or mentor is going to be. So be open. Be open.
But it also sounds like you learned at a very early age that it was the power of relationships.
I think so. I didn't know all these big terms back then, but now I do. It's the power of relationships and networking and connecting. You have to do the work though, and then showing a little bit of your personal side and yourself. And I think people will take to you and kind of say, "Come over here with me, and why don't you try this out?"
Why Black Butterfly?
It's just like you said. It's a beautiful song. Yeah. If you all haven't heard that song, and I have a daughter who's a singer and a songwriter. There's just so much wonderful music, and the reason she wants to be in that field is because she said, when she was younger and singing at an elderly home, nursing home, that people started singing along with her. And she could see that it made them happy. And Black Butterfly is just like, if you're feeling kind of down, I can't sing it all, so I'm not going to even sing it right now. But the words, I'm doing it like this because it just makes me want to
just do that.
Right. Well, you want to just float.
Butterfly.
Right. We can't sing. Okay. But we see what that was? That was like really how you feel.
Yeah.
And I used to be a ballerina, so I just felt like I just float and dance. Girl, on my ballet shoes. Yes, on my toes, my point shoes.
Okay, we'll have to get into that. Because I used to work for Debbie Allen, so I know a lot of ballet.
Oh, wow. It's discipline. It's discipline. Yeah. I mean, I've been an athlete, cheerleading captain, track captain, a ballerina. I did African dance. So being an athlete teaches discipline, the hours that you have to show up. Same thing with being a professional. But all along, I have joy in what I do. So I have to have fun. Yep. Because it doesn't feel like I'm working that hard.
That is a lesson that, especially in the times that we're in right now, which are uncertain, scary, there's a lot of divisiveness going on in the country. It's that being grounded in joy. And like letting that like lead you.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to go on a media diet. If it's getting too depressing, surround yourself with your board of directors, right? Like I can call on you and do something with you. Absolutely. And that is really like, I have one friend, I was like, oh, I'm going to go to this job in New York. It's going to pay me double. And my friend said, hello. Maybe 10 years ago, but you're not going to commute 2 hours a day back and forth. And she was so right. She knew me. Like, money's not everything, right? And you have to think about your personal toll and your personal life. And my friend is not a lawyer. She's my friend and she has her job. So I have a varied board of directors, so to speak, who just know me and love me. Yep. And will just tell me the truth and speak the truth to me. And that's very important.
I'm so glad you said that because when people think board of directors, I was at another thing where people were talking about their board of directors and they were talking about their mentors and I have this CEO and that CEO. And I'm like, no, you need a well-rounded board of advisors. Like I have someone on my board of advisors like you who is not corporate, not a lawyer, not any of the things, but you know what she has? She knows me.
Yeah. It's so
She knows, she speaks Shannon.
right.
Right? And so she's like, great. And then I always say the other thing that I like to have on just me personally, I feel like everybody needs a hype person.
Oh, yeah.
I got one friend who just hype you up. Hype me up.
You can do it. You can do it,
Hype
girl.
me up. And I'm like, she don't even know what I'm talking about. But she's just like, you're the best.
Yeah.
And like your ego and like there's the support. Sometimes you do need somebody in your ear who is just positive all the time.
But once I grew up with, my nickname is Lee. Like, Lee, you could do that, girl. You could do it.
Yep.
I'm like, you don't even know. I haven't told you. Doesn't matter. You can do it. They just believe in you. And having somebody who believe in you, then that's a huge thing.
You need those people too. So it's got to be well-rounded. So, okay. So personal life. So obviously you have a daughter, but let's figure out like where
I found that husband in DC. How about that? So he's from North Carolina, and that was just great. You know, I did a lot of dating in DC, which was fun for me because there was good people to date. But then when you met the one, you know the one.
Yeah.
And we wanted to have a family, so we moved back to Connecticut to be near my parents.
Okay.
Because you know that DC, all that traffic and all that.
Yeah.
You have to balance, right? You're not the single person anymore. You have to balance family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole other thing. You know, I talk about life before marriage, talk about life before child.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you have children, but it's the evolution, basically.
So you had the one daughter.
Yes.
So you guys moved back to Connecticut. Now walk us through, before we get to the next song, I want to start walking through how you were at the FBI, but then you obviously leave the FBI at some point. Walk us through the next kind of career stops that you made, because you wind up getting really high up at a huge company.
Right. I mean, networking is huge. This woman that I really admire, we've been friends. We grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, also a lawyer, but she's also pivoted like you, has done many things. And I said, I'm coming back home. You have a job. She was moving somewhere else in the company at Aetna. Okay. I said, apply for this job. And, you know, at that point, I was a more seasoned lawyer. I went from like 3,500 employees to 35,000 employees, right? And I knew my stuff as a labor and employment attorney. And so it was just the evolution of being prepared, honestly. It was great.
But like, how did you know? Like, so now you go in-house, you're in that corporate, you're at Aetna, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then you start really getting all these other skill sets that are preparing you to really run just human capital, like not just, I don't mean it this way, like not just a lawyer, but I mean other skill sets that aren't just necessarily legal. They're more operational and what they require of the job. So how do you make that transition? And then obviously it leads you to a really big role with General
Dynamics.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, it's like you come into that company and then we get this case, wage and hour law. So there's lots of different parts of law. Me and my boss really didn't have many wage and hour cases, but I had to manage people. I know how to manage people, manage relationships with the investigators that were coming in, how to get our people ready to testify, how to pull the documents. So that got me a lot of visibility because it saved the company lots of money.
Okay.
And this is when I fell in love with corporate America. I'm sorry. Because I had my salary, my bonus, and my stock. And they gave me extra stuff because I said, I was just doing my job. Right. My boss was like, no, you work lots of hours to pull the company together. And then from there, you know, our CEO was great at the time, Ron Williams, African-American CEO. And he came in, the company was kind of shaky. He brought us back to basics. And then the stock grew and split like triple time or whatever. And I learned a lot. It's like corporate America was very, how can I say, stringent, and we had certain rules, but that was like a standard. So there's a certain standard of way of being a lawyer and being an executive in a company that I carry all the way through to this day. And my colleagues know from Aetna, so many of us are C-suite executives now. From that training that we were there, we have all blossomed in different places. And then I took a leap of faith and they said, why don't you work for human resources? I'm like, why? I don't want to be in human resources. I'm a lawyer. And I want to just give it a try. I'm like, okay, well, employee relations, that's my client. It should be easy. Let me go into HR. And I had HR employee relations, HR compliance. And it really wasn't that easy because then I got into the world of HR. Yeah. There's lots of different aspects of HR. There's executive compensation, there's organizational design, right? And so I'm a human capital. There's training, HR compliance, training
and development, rather.
Right.
Yeah.
So I managed a team, and then they said, you want to come back? They said, this is the other role open, this HR business partner. I was like, I've been here for a long time. It can't be that much different. I'll try it. And they said, we know you can lead people. Why don't you go into this new role and be an individual contributor? And what I learned from that role, even though I was at the company for like 6 years at that time, I was like, wow, that HR business partner, when you're the person next to the executive and you're doing all the HR specialties for them, it's a whole different world. Like a P&L business partner, HR business partner, I learned so much. So that's when I was really more businessy and learned how to run a business and operations, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, literally, as a CFO, the HR business partner and leader really becomes part of my management team.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the person I'm sharing everything
Absolutely.
with, from,
Succession planning,
the people, what's going on with the numbers. Like, you really do get entrenched with the business.
And some people think, oh, HR is about hiring or firing. No, HR can set policy that can say to the employees, get a 5% match, right? HR can set a policy that can help you develop and get training so you can go into your next position.
Yep.
So I actually love human resources.
What I have found so helpful with the HR business partners is a big part of the job, once you become an executive, this, is how you communicate with people and how you get the best out of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so working with my business partners, say, okay, I have these 5 leaders on my team. One of my leaders is really quiet. When I call him or her, they don't even want to talk on the phone. They just want to do the work. And then I got another one who all they want to do is talk to me. And like I send them an email, but then they want to do a phone call.
All right.
Help me best manage them. Like, the HR business partner would come in and be like, okay, this is how we're going to communicate to the team to get Shannon what she needs.
Yeah.
And really be that go-between, if you will, to kind of help get the best out of everybody. Based on communication.
And if you have generational differences,
right?
The millennials, you got to say it to them, text it to them, email it to them, right? I mean, when I had to learn that, I was like, oh my gosh, I already said that you did a good job. I've got to say it again 3 more ways, right? But you got to do what you got to do to manage your teams.
Right.
And also, I'm an extrovert. I learned so much from this young lady when I worked at Hubble Incorporated. She was an introvert on my team. So when we would do big HR projects and we came back into our HR suite, she needed to go into her office, have the lights off, and just be by herself for a moment. I was like, everybody leave her alone.
Yeah.
Because I needed her to refuel so she could do the job. And that was a great learning experience. I've had a lot of other introverts around me. And like you said, pulling the work out of them and asking the questions so they can do their best. You got to know how to manage people.
And that's what you guys do. You come in, you assess the department and the team, and then you kind of help that leader, get the best out of everybody. It's a win-win for the company.
Win-win for the company, for the team.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's, again, one of those skill sets for those of you who have kids or yourself are aspiring for law school. They don't teach that in law school. I'll tell you that right now.
Soft skills, they don't do that.
They don't teach that. Teach you how to critically think, which is great, but they don't teach those skills.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and they don't teach you the skills how to really get to the C-suite.
No.
The C-suite, you have to have a certain panache. You have to have a certain look. And if I start telling you this stuff and you know it, you have to look polished, right?
Yeah.
People do judge books by its cover. So you have to look a certain way, act a certain way. And then when you're in there, you can still always be your authentic self, but you want to get through the door.
Yeah. So you're doing, professionally, you are doing well. You were skylight like this. One other thing I want to pull on before we go to this next stage in your life, you also talked about taking that leap of faith. So when you had been at this company for quite a number of years and your trajectory was going like this, and then somebody said, I'm going to take you off of this track of managing people, which for a lot of people would be like, wait a minute, the more people I manage, the higher I go up. What do you mean you're going to take me out? And then you're going to put me over here as a solo resource. I don't manage anybody, but I support a team, like a CFO or whomever.
Yeah.
That to some people could seem like a demotion.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to obviously trust whoever was your supporter and mentor that you needed to get that skill set to help you get to here.
Mm-hmm.
So talk just a little bit about sometimes these things that seem like steps lateral or behind are actually what's going to propel you.
Yeah, sometimes you have to go lateral to build the skill sets. And I did trust my mentor who told me that at that time. And it was just a whole different vantage point of the company being next to, and actually all of the people were my finance clients. Being right next to them. I had actuarial, I had underwriting, and it was just really great to have that experience and get grounded in the field of HR business partner. That's a different role than employee relations. It's a different role than HR compliance, right? I had all the plethora of the HR skill sets that I had to make sure that his team had so they could succeed and make money and grow for the company.
And I think that's what's, again, listeners, if you're getting this nugget, I really want you to understand, she actually took a job that, maybe she didn't have as many people reporting to her, but she took a job that was close to the business, that actually made her understand how the business runs. And that's the skill set that all successful C-suite people have. They understand intimately their business.
And I always know how the widget makes the money for the company.
Yes.
So I actually have been in probably varied industries because I'm a quick learner. I could always figure out how the company makes money.
Yeah.
What I bring to them is someone who's innovative, courageous, and not afraid to speak up, right? And gonna have ideas. And I know strategy. I know operations and logistics, right? So that's what's important. So I always tell people, you can be in whatever industry you're in. I need a leader who people want to follow. Those are people who I hire, who inspire followership. And that's just very important. And then I had to go lead a big team of HR business partners. And they have been HR business partners for way longer than I had been. Because I got that experience with the finance team, they trusted my judgment. And I was able to lead them through supporting their clients and their team better.
So this next part of your life in this lesson, we talk about this in No Boxes, Just Verses. The leaders that we have that come on here have careers that zig and zag, and there's ups and there's downs, and it's what makes them the resilient leaders that they are. So this next song that you bring in this next phase, and we'll talk about, it's a challenging time, is Love's in the Need of Love Today by Stevie Wonder. And that song, it's an emotional kind of song. Help us kind of understand. You were dealing with some stuff in your family.
Oh, that's my dad.
With your dad and the parent, and just, you were doing well in your career, but there's the lives.
Yeah, lives. And you have to know what's important to you. My family is very important to me. I had great parents, and my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer. I'm working lots of hours in corporate America, Aetna, and, work is going to be there. They're going to expect you to do the work that they're paying you to do. Right. But you don't want to leave your parents hanging, and you want to support them. So I just think that people have to have compassion. That's why we have FMLA leave. And I only took 1 day, though. So I was still probably just thinking I couldn't take off. Just spending time with my family and letting my father know that I was there with him to the end. Right. And my mother supporting my mother. My brother and I supported my mother so she wouldn't get sick. And it was a beautiful thing because he knew that we were there with him to the end.
Yeah.
And we knew it was coming. So for me, I got to prepare. People always say you're never prepared. But for the person that my personality, knowing that he had terminal cancer, knowing that there was going to be an end date, kind of helped me. And I'm a daddy's girl, kind of helped me get ready for it. And I was just really proud to be with him and take care of him to the end.
And I think it's important for people to understand in these careers that there are seasons where you may not be going at like full strength.
Right.
You've got to put your focus on other things. And that's okay. You got to give yourself some grace. A lot of the folks on here are just such hard chargers, A-type personalities, but they're also human.
You don't want to make yourself sick. And I was actually in a pretty big role, an appointee role on the International Standards Committee, which we do investigation evaluations. I had to call our international president and say, my dad's terminal. I don't want my mom to get sick. I have to go help my dad. So between work and also my community involvement, I had to ask for grace and said, I'll get a replacement. That will be good. But can you please let me step down because I have to be there for my dad.
Yeah.
And that was like, you couldn't do everything at the same time. And I think I was a chapter president at that time too.
Wow.
So I had to call quits on some things so I could have peace of mind. And guess what? I have no regrets.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to live with regrets and say, I wish I had done this. I wish I'd been there for my father. I was there for them. And it didn't stop my career. It still blossomed. Right. It didn't stop my AKA trajectory. It still blossomed. Right. So be true to yourself. Pray about it, but be true to yourself.
And I love how you said, like, sometimes we just have to ask for grace.
Yes.
I know it's hard for a lot of people, but sometimes you have to ask for grace because this is what is going to help you get through. And people understand.
Yeah.
They really, really do.
Yeah. It shows that we're human too.
Yeah,
we're in this big position, but we're human. We have family and life keeps lifing. It's not all going to be roses.
That's right. So we're in this season now. You picked the song Blessed by Jill Scott. There's so many amazing Jill Scott songs. I love Jilly from Philly. You've had this amazing career journey. You are now a CEO of an organization.
So who would have thought about that? That wasn't one of my goals.
Yeah, but we have our plan, and then there's like God's plan, right? And so I see that you like all of these things lead to you being CEO, and I guess it's because I can look back over the career, and hindsight is 20/20. But it's interesting, like you were saying, like this wasn't your aspiration, but you've always been a person that's open to the next possibility.
Absolutely.
So let's walk us through. What's that phone call that you get? First of all, tell them what you're doing. Tell them more about your organization.
I will.
And then what's the phone call that you get? And like, how do you feel when they're like, hey, we're interested in you for this job? Are you like, what?
I am like that. So I am the CEO of Girl Scouts of Connecticut. And I was a Brownie growing up. My daughter was a Girl Scout. My mother was a Brownie in West Virginia. And I was a co-troop leader when I was, my daughter was a Girl Scout. And so I'm kind of like, no, I'm happy. I was in the first Quinnipiac University, hired the first general counsel because they used to farm it out to law firms.
Okay.
They brought it in-house, but then they coupled the role with the VP of Human Resources.
Okay.
So I was at Quinnipiac, I was in a dual role. It was going well. I was working a lot of hours, but then I also got elected to be the North Atlantic Regional Director.
Yep.
So I've got a C-suite role. I got basically a C-suite role in AK land as well.
Yeah.
And then I got this phone call. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm going to retire from here. Well, no, just come over here and learn more about the Girl Scouts. And I actually got a breakfast badge award from them like in 2022. So I knew that CEO, she was going to retire. And like I said, you just kind of sometimes have to go with the flow, trust God, trust others around you. What's an interview going to hurt? It's not going to hurt anybody.
It's true.
But, for a CEO position, my goodness, there were interviews, like so many rounds, right, and presentations. And it just ended up working out. I felt good. I love young people. That's kind of my thing, helping people develop, giving them hints and tips so they can succeed in life. I do that all the time, reviewing resumes and practicing interviews with people and telling people how to advocate for themselves, for wages and for workload and things like that. It was just like the best little segue that I made into the CEO world. And it really, all my skill sets, I manage millions and millions of dollars of properties for the Girl Scouts. We have lots of camping properties. I'm doing a real estate transaction now, selling a building and buying another building. I'm a lawyer. Like, when did I do that? How did I know how to do that? Right? So it's just all those things. I'm managing all the diverse teams. I'm statewide. I'm meeting with legislative leaders. So some of the lobbying stuff, I mean, it is just so much fun. So I like to have fun.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be bored. So it's all these varied things that I'm doing at CEO. So it's really been perfect for me.
And then also, I mean, like, I want the listeners to understand you're CEO of this large organization, and being a regional director in an organization, like, any organization, not just a sorority, if you are in charge of your region, that's like being a mini CEO of a region, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our region's from DC to Maine.
Right.
And we have, 16,000 plus members. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But you know what? I'm very well organized and I love technology. So I use Calendly for people, any of my members who want to meet with me.
Okay.
I use a job form voucher system with my treasurer. They go pre-approvals and it comes to me. So I use technology wisely to save my time, but also because I am an HR person, I know how to find diverse talent. So some that will raise their hands, some that I've been watching and saying, you can serve the region well. I go out and pick them and say, try this for me. And so that's a great thing. And I like innovation. We've done some really first things in our region, as having our founder's street named and her house preserved.
Oh, wow.
At my first regional conference, right?
Okay.
Then you could go to New York and have the World Trade Center lit up for Founders Day in our pink and green colors. So there's just a lot of fun things that you can do if you have a good team, you have passion for the work, and you just do the work.
Well, not only do you just do the work, you completely serve your communities. You completely care about helping other people.
Absolutely.
You are definitely an
Absolutely.
epitome of lift as you climb. I've seen it myself. You are completely bringing people along in the journey. There's a lot of people that you are their supporter. And I know that also very firsthand. And so it's more than just doing the work. It's just, we go back to that little girl from West Virginia. That's who she was. And she would be so proud of this woman who's doing so much for so many. Before we get out of here, there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about. First, I want to know what's next for you. What's in the horizon? You've done a lot of amazing things. You're already CEO. You're running a region for the organization. What's next? What
Oh my gosh.
what inspires you next?
I mean, one thing that I would love to be on a corporate board. And that would be an amazing experience because of all of my experiences. I deal with boards and I deal with it from the C-suite level, but I would love to be at the board level and just giving that general counsel or that HR, the president, like, have you thought about this?
Yeah.
Because that's what boards do. We don't run. We're not operational. We're governance, right? And you kind of just give suggestions and so they can do their job better. So that would be really cool that I could maybe be on a board and help that company succeed and grow. And then on the AK front, I'm going to be done in 2026. And I think I'm going to try to get certified to be a candidate to run for our first vice president role. And if you win that role, you're automatically the president of Alpha Kappa Alpha. So I think that I have a lot of energy and thoughts, creativity to bring to really make sure that we bring people up, because service to all mankind. At Disney yesterday, these little girls and their mother stopped us. What's all this pink and green? And we sat there and just talked to them about Alpha Kappa Alpha, where we were founded, and how they could go to college and you don't have, all this stuff. And it was just, they asked such brilliant questions. And that's what we do. You inspire someone to say, I never even thought about being an engineer. And now because I have this STEAM Girl Scout camp or these STEAM programs in AK, I have created architects and engineers. Like, I love that. I love to see people, the little twinkle to say, oh my God, I never thought about that. I could do that.
Yeah.
And the stories are hysterical when I'm with people. They're like, oh, I've tried what you told me. I just, as part of my, I really want to say like my God-given talent, I just will help anyone. And then they tell you the stories of how you advise them and how they've risen in their company and been promoted. And I'm sitting there in shock. They're like, you don't remember that? I'm like, no. But so it's nice to see, to give back and see them succeed. So I want to be old and sitting and just watching all these young people grow and leave the country.
I agree with you. That's really well. Yeah. Like if you can be that. I have a mentor right now, a mentor I've had forever. And he always used to say to me, like, wealth for him is all the people he mentored and the lessons we took from him that we're actually now paying it forward and sharing with other people. He's like, that's like a legacy.
Yes, it's everything.
Like
it's everything. Yeah.
And I know for a fact that not only have you accomplished that, you continue to accomplish that. And you're even doing it right now in this interview. Look, before we get out of here, I always ask my guests one quick question. How can we find them? Two quick questions, sorry. How can we find them and support them? Drop whatever handles you want. And I need one song that if we were driving down the highway, listening to the radio, to the extent you listen to radio, what would the song be that just brings a smile on your face?
Okay, well, now I'm in sunny California. So let me just go ahead and say this. Summertime, Will Smith.
Summertime. Summertime.
So what do? You sing that, you just start bopping, put your sunglasses on, and you feel good, right? You got to have joy in life. That's one thing.
That's a bop song.
It's a bop song.
I like it.
And I say if you want to follow me, I think you should follow probably 2 ways. It's Elicia Pegues Spearman. You'll have it on the website, how to spell that.
I will.
On Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Also, if you want to follow some of the service work that we do, it's GSOFCT, Girl Scouts of Connecticut.org. And also NAR_1908 on Instagram for my regional page, or AK North Atlantic on Facebook. So we do great things. I think you should figure out what we do and follow us to be inspired and partner with us. I collaborate with a lot of other businesses and corporations.
We will definitely do that. And we'll have all your handles in the show notes so people can reach out and follow you. This has been such a joy. I'm so honored that you have been a guest on No Boxes, Just Verses. We are inspired by your journey, and we are really going to, your playlist is one that's going to be on repeat. It's going to be a repeat playlist for sure. Let me just go through and wrap up on the songs just so our listeners could, I want to give you the list like I always do. Okay. First, we have Count on Me by Whitney and CeCe Winans. Next, we have Shining Star by Earth, Wind, and Fire. We then have, beautiful Black Butterfly. Denise Williams. We have Love's in Need of Love Today by Stevie Wonder. And let's just say any song by Stevie Wonder on the playlist is fire.
And that whole Keys of Life album is fire.
The whole album could be on the playlist.
Exactly.
It's fire. We end up with Jill Scott's Blessed. And our bonus song is Summertime by Will Smith. You picked 2 Philly people.
I know, I did. And I have to say today, just being interviewed by you, someone who I've known and admired, and you're like an amazing person who's ascended, where you're so caring and kind. It's just so nice to see. So surround yourself with people who are doing things and who are kind. Kind means a lot. And you're going to keep having an abundance of blessings. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you. I'm going to receive this. A lot of times we go, you
got to receive it.
No, you just have to receive it. And I definitely received that from you.
Yeah.
And so again, I want to thank you for being on No Boxes, Just Verses. Keep making us proud. We're going to keep following you and supporting you. And one thing is for sure, your playlist is fire. So it's going to be on repeat.
Awesome.
It's going to be on repeat.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Music gives you life.
It does give you life. And you even have a daughter that sings. So you have music all the time.
That's right.
In your life.
Yeah, Kayla Cheryl, the singer from Miami.
In fact, throw out her handles. Let's follow her too.
Kaila, Kayla Cheryl, Cheryl. Follow her on Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. She's a wonderful, beautiful artist.
I love how she went Kaila.
Kaila.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to No Boxes, Just Verses. And if this episode moved y'all, please share it, rate us, follow the show on your favorite platform, and we can keep building our leadership playlists together. So you can find me, guys, on Instagram as Shannon Nash 1 and No Boxes, Just Verses on Instagram. You can also find me on LinkedIn as Shannon Nash ESQ CPA. You can also find No Boxes, Just Verses on LinkedIn. You can visit our website at noboxesjustverses.com. Finally, don't forget to check out the show notes. The show notes are super important because this is where the playlists will live. You will be able to get these playlists on Apple and Spotify. You'll also be able to follow up and see how to reach out to the guests, follow them, and support them. Until next time, I need you to stay unboxed. You come for the stories, but you stay for the playlists. I'm Shannon Nash, and I'm out.